Now let's talk about purling. The purl is the opposite of the knit stitch in so many ways. First, you're still going to use your empty needle, but now you're going to go right to left and stay on top of that left needle. Okay, I'm still going to use my thumb to kind of hold everything in place, and we're going to wrap the yarn around the right needle, but remember it's still on top of the left needle instead of underneath. Now we're going to kind of push that new loop to the back, and then the whole loop comes off. So step 4 is the same in knitting and purling, but in purling we're going to scoop from right to left, loop around, push her to the back, and then off. So here's what it looks like in more of a smooth motion. And again, this is all shown to you step by step in your ebook, but I want you to see what it looks like in video form as well. Now, we're keeping the bumps, and they're called purl bumps, on the front of the work when we purl. So I'll show you when we're done with this row what it looks like on the other side. And when you purl on each side, you're going to end up with garter stitch as well, because you're going to have purl bumps on both sides. So what we tend to do is we will alternate purling a row and knitting a row. And that's going to give us a stitch called stockinette stitch. All right, here is the end. And then if you look carefully, you can see we have some braids forming. This is called the knit side of the work. Okay, it's not the purl bumps, but it's these knitted braids or V's. Let me show you. Here's what a hat with the body worked in stockinette stitch looks like. This is our sunset colorway. So you can see the V's stacked on top of each other, right? So this is where we knitted a row, and then I have to turn the hat inside out to show you the purl bumps. This is what it looks like when all the purl bumps are on one side of the work. This is often called the wrong side of the work, but I think it looks quite lovely as well. It could certainly be the outside of this hat. And then the knitted side is often called the right side. So the side that's showing. All right, so then if in your scarf pattern you don't want to follow the pattern that I've given you, but you want to do your own combination of knits and purls, that's absolutely fine. I encourage that. But please know that if you do a scarf, a rectangle, entirely in stockinette stitch, so if you just keep on knitting one row, purling one row, etc., knit, purl, row, 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 this baby is going to curl up like nobody's business, okay? And even with blocking, even with washing it and laying it flat to dry, it's going to be very curly. Some people love that look, but if you want a flat rectangle, then you're going to need to intersperse rows of garter stitch, more purls to get it to be even so that it doesn't curl. So now I'm starting a purl row. One example of a pattern that you could use is you could do, let's say, 8 rows in stockinette stitch and then 8 rows in garter stitch. So you would do knit, purl, knit, purl, knit, purl, knit, purl, and then 8 more rows of all knit rows. And so that'll give you a nice pattern. Other people like to do the basket weave pattern, which is a little more complicated, but that's a combination of knits and purls that kind of makes it look like you've got squares, woven squares in your work. And you can make up your own. Now that you know how to knit and how to purl, you have 90% of what you need to be a happy, content knitter.